Welcome to Specific Love. We've been doing a lot of painting here recently, so I came up with 10 great hacks that you can use the next time you need to do some painting. If you happen to buy one of these large 5-gallon buckets of paint, these lids right here can be a real pain to get off. Now they do sell a specialty tool that you can clamp on and gives you a nice easy turn, but that can cost you money and a lot of times you'll even forget those. But if you take your nice roll of tape that you've been using to mask everything off with, carefully wedge it on top, squeeze really hard, and give it a nice hard turn. There you go. You can get those lids off relatively easily. If you're using a painting tray, before you pour that paint in there, here's a good way that you can reuse it. If you take an old trash bag or some aluminum foil or even some plastic wrap, if you line the tray, then you can pour the paint inside, use what you need, and then it's an easy cleanup by just pulling everything out. That's a great way to be able to reuse your painting tray over and over. Whenever you're putting up masking tape, it's always a good idea to take either a putty knife, or if you don't have a putty knife, even your paint stir sticks, and you gently, with some pressure, go along the inside edge there of your tape. And by doing that, you're helping to secure the inside edge against the object it is adhered to, and it means there's a less likely chance of paint to bleed underneath and getting on the object you're trying to protect. If you're painting a lot of big walls, there's a good chance you're going to use these standard rollers. Now, these rollers don't have any felt or material on the end, so when you're trying to go up in a corner, there's usually a good bit of space right in here that doesn't get much paint. And then you're going to have to go back with a brush and paint that all in. Now, it'll look good, but there's always a chance that the texture of this corner is not going to look the same as the rest of the wall. I have a way to fix that. Now, these are these smaller rollers. This happens to be 4-inch. And I've been told that these are normally used for about like cabinets. And so they have the felt all the way on the ends here. And that way, if you go up in the corner here, as you see here, we did not use a brush in this corner. All we used is one of these, and it has clearly filled in that corner nice and neat. Now, this roller might take you a little bit longer than the larger roller, but if you take into consideration now you have to clean out your brush and that's going to take some additional time, these little rollers will work out to about the same amount of time as you need. There's an old trick using a rubber band where if you're dipping paint using a brush out of your bucket, you can wipe it on the rubber band and it'll keep it from dripping off the brush. That's a great idea, except what happens when this rubber band breaks and sends paint flying in all directions? Well, I got a better way than this. Most cans have some type of a metal handle on it, and if you carefully pry off the metal handle, you can then bend it in a shape that will fit right over the edge of your can. Now you can take some tape and put on the side of it here if you want to make it a little bit more secure. But now you can take and wipe your brush off, get all the excess paint, and you don't have to worry about a rubber band sending paint flying. A milk jug can come in real handy, whether it's the gallon in this version or even a half-gallon. You can take and you can cut the front half off, and that allows you to have a nice little area for some paint down in here. With the handle and the paint, now you can easily carry your paint around. But you have the little hole in the top, and now you can stick your brush in, and so now you can easily carry your paint and your brush whether you're going up a ladder or you're just going around the house. Also, a great thing about it, with this lip here, you can easily wipe off the brush and you don't have to worry about it dripping. It's a great way to use a gallon jug. If you're doing a lot of painting, there's a good chance you want to keep your roller and use it day after day. Now there's an old trick, is if you take your roller and you put it inside of a plastic bag and you wrap it up real tight in that bag, it's going to stay nice and moist for several days and you can use it over and over again. Well, I have an additional step that'll help you out. If you take an old Pringles can, you put all that inside of the Pringles can, put the lid on it nice and tight, it's going to do two things for you. First, it's going to create a nice airtight seal so you don't have to worry about it, any chance of it trying to dry out. And secondly, if by chance there is a leak anywhere in that bag, now you don't have to worry about it getting all over your stuff because it's going to stay nice inside, right in there in that Pringles can. If you use a brush with a bunch of oil type paints, then you'll need to put it in some kind of a cleaning solution. Now if you take it and you just put it in the jar with the cleaning solution, there's a good chance that it's going to deform the bottom of the brush and therefore kind of just ruin the brush, especially if you have real soft bristles. Now there's a great way to solve that. If you put a binder clip, one of the large versions, slip one side across, and then you can gently take it and stick it in the jar with your cleaning solutions. And therefore it keeps it off the bottom of the jar, like so. And that way you don't have to worry about it deforming the bottom of your brush. If you're doing a lot of painting, there's a good chance you're going to need some touch-ups over time, or maybe if you want to do a recoat, it's going to be hard to remember the exact type of paint that you have on the wall. Well, since we're going to have to remove the face plates from your electrical outlets and from your switches to do your painting, it's a good idea in the process is if you take some tape and a marker and you write down the date and the type of paint that you use, so that in the future, if you need to, all you got to do is just easily remove that face plate. You know exactly what to put back on your wall. If you use tape to mask off some area, especially if this tape has been on here for a good while, there's always a chance when you go to remove it that you're going to pull off the paint or some kind of material that is underneath it. A good tip is if you take a hair dryer and you just gently warm it up, get it nice and warm, and that way it'll be less likely when you peel off the tape for you to remove any material. Now if you enjoyed these ideas, make sure you click the like button, tell us what you think about it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.